Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of 4K Garage. So in this episode, got to do a few little jobs, namely maintenance. So I've got plenty of oily stuff, and got enough to do the engine, the gearbox, and even the diff. So it's going to be a bit of a simple episode, but come along for the journey. Probably won't stop there though. Got another couple of little small mods to do while we're under the car. First of all, we've got a new gearbox bushing insert, and even some gearbox springs, and these just really help to center up the gear stick as you come out of, say, second up to third, fifth down to fourth, and so on. Just helps center up that gear stick a bit better. And that's a problem that's quite common on these gearboxes, especially when they're cold. It's easy to miss gears or hit the gate and so on. So that just helps to center it up a bit better. Just get the car up in the air, get it warmed up a little bit, and then we start draining some oil. Let's get to it. Just got the car up in the air. As you can hear, it's already running. Just letting everything warm up a little bit, just so it's easier to drain the oil from the engine, gearbox, and diff. As you can see, just got the wheels free spinning just to heat up that gearbox oil and diff oil. Then we'll get under there. Let's get that sorted. Right, so here we are under the car. Just got to undo the sump plug. I've got a brand new oil pan here. Be good one to see what it's like. And magnetic sump plug, so I'll just leave it hanging there. Let that drain. Come back to it in a minute. So that's draining off now. You can hear that trickling away in the background. We just need to get the oil fill cap off. Just give it an intake of air, make that a lot easier draining out. And finally the oil filter. So another trick I've always been told was to get yourself a bit of sandpaper, gives you a bit more grip getting that oil filter off. Saves you smashing a screwdriver through or doing something as barbaric as that. And on the 86, of course, it's right at the top of the engine, so really easy to get to. There it goes. So that totally drained off down there. I'm just going to fit a new copper sump plug washer. It's always recommended to do this. Just because if you're ever going to have any leaks, it's going to be because you haven't replaced this crush washer. And it's simple. You can buy a pack of 10 for £1 or £2 and just keep them hanging around. Just before I fill up, got the new filter here. Just going to give it dab of oil around the seal, do it hand tight. There we go. Right, time to fill up new oil. Just 4 litres, so I'm just going to put all of this in, as I think the engine takes around 6.2 litres, something like that. But in all honesty, just fill it up, check the dipstick, keep filling up until you're just under max. Google it, check the manual, whatever you want really. I'm just using 5-weight 30 oil here. Of course, the recommended really is 0W20, but that stuff's difficult to get hold of, it's expensive, and 5-weight 30 is plenty. It's a bit thicker, so if you drive a car on track or you drive it hard, then it's gonna work better, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. And yes, the ring is still broken since the crash a couple of years ago. Yeah, I'm just below the minimum, so got more to go. Let's go get the other bottle. Perfect. Just under the maximum mark. Brilliant. Job done. Let's move on to the gearbox. Right, so here we are down here. Start off with the diff oil first, as it's the easiest to get to without any under trays. All you need is a 10mm Allen key on a ratchet. So I was advised to undo the fill plug here. Here's the fill plug, here's the drain. Undo the fill plug first, because then if you can't undo that, then you're an empty diff with no oil in it. So another thing you want is a couple of new aluminium crush washers. I think these are M18. Should hopefully be big enough to get on these. we go. That's the feel, that's why you want to make sure you can undo this first. There we go, let's just test this brush washer. Oh, perfect. Put that to one side. Got my oil pan ready. Let's get this drain plug off. Right, now for the drain plug, it looks like it's a Torx bit. I hate it when they do that, but here we go. There we go. And this from the factory is already a magnetic sump plug, although clearly it's a bit covered in crap. Or what the diff is, because it won't hold its own weight. There you go. Just leave that as a drain. I'm going to go give this a clean up. We'll come back and fill it up. Definitely recommend giving this a wipe off because it's just covered in thick metally sludge. With the oil drained, sump plug cleared up, and a new crush washer on, it's time to fill it up with oil. So in reality, all it needs is just over, this is a litre, it needs about 1.1 litres. So top up from another bottle, and move on to the gearbox. So the trick here essentially is to fill it up until it leaks out of the fill plug a little bit. Right, so when it overfills, and you've made a mess of absolutely everything, you can put the fill plug back in, turn it all down, diff oil's done. Let's move on to the gearbox. Just gotta tidy everything up right now because it's filthy. Right, so the gearbox is a little bit more tricky just because you've got to take this on the tray off. But in reality, it ain't too bad. Face. I matched up before, 10mm Allen, and you want to get the fill plug loose first. Cool. Bit of pressure in there. I'm not sure if you heard that on camera, but there was a little hissing. Right, let's try and capture this without getting a mess everywhere. Ooh, just about. Let's go give this a wipe while it drains. Just put the drain plug back in there with a brand new crush washer. Just tighten it up, not too tight, 27 foot-pounds I think, like 35 newton meters. Some oil in there. Now there's two ways to do this. You can either shove the oil up there, or what you could do is you could run a pipe down and fill it via the pipe. I might do the latter, let's see if I've got anything suitable. Just got the pipe in there, run just up there. Let's go to the top and start filling it up. Here's our pipe here, should be really easy now. Just leave that like that. It's going to take quite a while with all that thick oil, but small thing that should make this go a lot quicker. Drilling a hole in the bottle. Give it time and come back to it. Right, so the last thing I'm going to be doing today is installing this gearbox bushing insert. Should be a fairly simple job. Undo one nut, jack up the gearbox a little bit, pop it in, do up that bolt again. The only problem being is that it looks like my gearbox mount has already started to take quite a bit of damage. These do move around a lot, so hopefully it shouldn't cause any issues, and this should stiffen it up, make it a little bit less likely to vibrate itself to death. Start off by undoing this bolt. Before I undo it fully, let's get the gearbox somewhat jacked up. I can use this block of wood. Hopefully this will be alright. There we go. So now it's just a case of popping this up. Here we go, that's in there. Now we've just got to get the stud back down. in the right orientation. There we go. Now, drop the gearbox down, turn it back up. And that is one job very easily done. There it is. Hopefully that should take some of the vibrations and, you know, support that bit there that's, you can see is a bit mangled. It's looking good. Right, that's it for today. I will come back tomorrow and we will do the shifter springs, which are located all the way up there. You can just about see the Allen head of one of the two bolts and the other one's on the other side. Right, hello again guys, back at it another day. So now we got to install those little shifter springs. Let me show you those again and show you what they do. Right, so here they are, a little MTech shifter spring kit. And essentially what these do is these are the springs that return the gear stick to the centre of the gate when you come back into neutral. As you come back into neutral, that kind of movement there, they're the springs that do that. Now the reason why you'd want these to be a little bit stronger is just because if 5th to 4th, it's very easy to sometimes come out of 5th and go to 6th, or come out of 5th and hit the gate between 4th and 6th. Just because they're not quite strong enough, you know. So that's the plan. Going to get under the car again. It's going to be quite tricky to just to access up where they're located, just underneath the gear stick, really. But tools shouldn't be too tricky. So let's grab some, get into the car, go from there. Well, I'm not sure how much of this you're actually going to be able to see, but essentially the very first bolt we need to undo is this one, right up here. As you can see, an Allen key alone only barely fits in. There we go. It's going to be quite tight, so we need some leverage on it. There we go, that's it. The seal broken. Just got to get the damn Allen key out of there, come on! Right, here we go, it's taking a little while, but hopefully, yep, I can do it by hand now. There it is. And inside there is a little spring. The only problem is getting it out. Now, what you could do is you've had a proper little pick to get in there. But as you can see, a magnet does the trick fairly well. The only thing I will try and do is try and clear up as much of the old thread sealant as possible, just because it's going to make that tricky to thread back in by hand. But I'll probably do that for the plug. Just get up onto the bench and go from there. Right, so I did my best with a Scotch pad to clean up those threads, and the spring we want to put in there is this long, thin one of the two. That will just go up in there, like so. Just want to be careful threading these in because they have quite fine threads. You want to make sure not to cross thread it if it's not going in by hand. Don't do it, essentially. That's a good rule of thumb for any bolt. Right, that started off pretty well. Let's break out the rubber tools. Once it's all done, it's meant to be around, I don't know, 18 foot-pounds. But in honesty, you're never going to get a torque wrench up there. So, somewhat tight. You know, don't go crazy on it. Don't go yanking on it with like a 3-foot bar. We'll move on to the other side now. Alright, so this side's a little bit easier or harder, however you look at it. But essentially, you see this bolt all the way up here with the weird nipple end on it. That's what we're taking off. And to do that, we need a 27mm socket and most likely a breaker bar. It's just really, really tight in there. And it's just due to that Loctite. So once again, I have to clean this one off, apply some more Loctite, and turn it up. Right, here we go. It all comes out as a unit, so it looks a bit like that. And the spring sits in here. So let's go up on a bench and get this one swapped out. So here it is. It's a bit of a funny looking thing. And you take this cap off. It looks a bit like a hydraulic lift almost. Got this ball bearing in the end. Old spring comes out. It's got a bit of oil in it. That's fine. New spring goes in. Cap. Tell you what, I'll put the spring in the cap first. And there it is. Done. I'm just going to tidy up the threads, put some new thread locker on, get it back in the car. There we go. Thread locker applied. Now I won't bring you under the car just because it's a bit of a mission lugging the camera under there. But I'll get this bolted back in and we'll have a look at what the gear shift feels like. Well, here we go. I've just done the springs, got them back in, got it all tightened up, got the under tray back on, and the car's now back on the ground. let's give it a go. So here we go. So yeah, it definitely feels a bit, ever so slightly more like it wants to spring back into neutral, which is exactly what we wanted. It means that going from for second up to third is just easier, and likewise fifth down to fourth, it's all easy. Sixth down to third, or even, I don't know, fifth to second. But it's all yeah, it just feels better. I'll have to drive it, see what it feels in practice, but even just sitting here, it just feels great already. So I'm really pleased with that. The work involved was a little bit tricky at times to get them installed. It's mostly just the access for those springs. But then everything else I've done in this video, the diff bushing, all the oil changes, that was all fairly easy as you'd expect, really. So all in all, successful couple of days. Now I think I'm going to take the car for another drive, give it a much needed wash, just go out and have some fun in it. So needless to say, that's it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you on the next one, as always. If you did enjoy this episode, please do all that good YouTube stuff, as always say. Leave a comment, give us a like, maybe subscribe. But until the next one, hope you guys stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you then. Cheers. Bye-bye.